Welcome back to Noob School. This is where we interview sales pros that can help you get off to a great start in sales. Today's course is going to be about how to get your first job, your first sales job. And there's 5 key components that you need to think about that will help you get it. Now, first of all, let's back up. Why is it important that we take time to take this course and to do what I'm going to tell you to do, or at least most of it, to get that first sales job? Because you could probably just see who's coming to campus or look online and find you a decent sales job where you made decent money for, let's say, a pretty good company. I mean, that's very possible. The reason is because if you're thinking about your future and long term, this first job is really important. It's like the first brick in the house kind of thing. So you don't want to start building this house of your future and then have to, a year from now, switch over to a whole new house and do something completely different. So you want to spend some time now figuring out exactly what your best first job is going to be, particularly if you're going into sales. So the first thing I want you to do is just think about, is sales what you want to do? Have you sold anything before? Have you tried selling? Have you done any kind of testing to determine, does your psychological profile say you're a good fit for sales? Because there's lots of other things that people do. People are managers. People do marketing. People fly airplanes. I mean, there's lots of stuff to do. You don't have to be a salesperson. So I think it's important to, before you say, I'm going into sales and I commit to it, to think about, is this something that I want to do? So if you're not sure and you haven't had any of these tests done, first thing I would do, if it was me, I would go to Kolbe.com, KOLBE.com, and I think it's $60. They charge you for a very good psychological profile that will say, not only whether you're a natural fit for sales, but what kind of sales you'd be better at. And what I mean is big ticket items, small stuff, selling over the phone, doing stuff in person. So you'll start to get a definition for what you'd be best at. So I encourage you, don't just say I'm going into sales. Let's do a little bit of homework and figure out, am I a good fit for sales? And if so, what type of sales? The third thing you can do there is to actually go sell something, right? Even if it's small, volunteer at some place to help sell, or sell something on commission, or work at the mall on commission for, some retail store. But anything where you're having to interface with people and, try to find a good match and get them to buy something. So that's number one. Find out where your fit is in sales. Number 2, this is very important too, is let's just say that you are a good fit. And that we said we checked off number 1, we are a good fit. We know we're a good general salesperson. We're probably going to be a better outside person than inside person, medium ticket items to big ticket items. That's what we're best at. So the next thing I want you to do is to figure out what's your general area of interest, meaning what areas do you like hanging out in and studying up on and watching YouTubes on that you think you'd like to sell in that area. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. People get confused by the phrase, follow your passion, right? So if my passion is, let's say, guitar, I just love playing guitar, and that's my passion. I say, well, follow your passion. Well, does that mean that's all I'm going to do is play the guitar the rest of my life? Well, for a very select few people, that's possible, right? That can be your career, but it's very difficult. But what you could do is you can stay in the ballpark. And what I mean by that is, work for Gibson guitars, or work for Fender guitars, or work for, the music magazines or the music publishers, or people that are just kind of in that business. And that way, since you love the music business and you love music and you love guitars, you'll be hanging around those kinds of people. You can still play. Heck, you still might, be one of those select few people that becomes a full-time guitarist. But in the meantime, instead of selling, frozen beef patties, for some company, or selling, let's say thread or towels or sheets or rugs or just some commodity somewhere. Get a job in sales in the area that you like. So very important. You're going to be hanging around these people. Let's say your career might be 40 years. You're going to be hanging around these people and selling them stuff and buying stuff from them, hiring, firing. You might as well be around the kind of people that share common interests. So that's number 2. Number 3, you need to create a list of those companies. What companies do you think are in your area of interest that are big enough to be hiring salespeople, and create yourself a nice list of those folks? And your job, hopefully you're starting this, sooner rather than later. Let's say you're a sophomore in college, you've got a couple of years to work on this. So you start a file of, let's say, your top 10 targets. You'd love to work for Fender, or you'd love to work for Gibson, or whoever the different guitar companies are. And you start to study those companies and learn, who are the CEOs, who are the regional sales managers in your areas, who are some of the salespeople. Heck, start going to some of the shows, right? They have a couple of national shows every year for the music industry. Show up at the shows, go around, meet people at the booth. Guess how many of your competitors are doing that? How many people that are trying to find jobs in your field are doing that? Very few. So you can figure out who they are and start a campaign to try to understand who works there. Maybe you can intern there. Maybe you can volunteer to do something. Maybe they're doing a race. Maybe they're hosting a race in your town or in some big city. You can go volunteer to work there, and you'll probably meet the president of the company, if you're volunteering at the race. So there's lots of things you can do to start to figure out, which company would be the best fit for me, and start to get to know everyone there. So you'll be a shoo-in when it's your time.